All right. So now, as we are wrapping up our discussion about evaluating the external environment, understanding our industry and our place within it, um, it begs the question of any type of assessment and evaluation is what kind of sense do we make out of it? What kind of conclusion can we come to from these assessments? What kind of actions are we able to take from it? And what should we take away from this overall assessment experience, right? Well, essentially what we're getting to at the end of the day is, does our industry outlook look profitable at all, right? At the end of the day, I think that like the end all consideration really for us as a business is, I mean, we're here to make money. That's essentially the aim of any profit seeking business. And so we hope to come to the conclusion that, yeah, our industry outlook does look profitable. Now, there'll be a lot of differences between industries depending on which one we're talking about. Some look more profitable than others, but industries exist because they have the ability to make profit for organizations within them. So we want to try to come to some conclusion based off of all these data that we've collected along the way, all these things we've talked about, what our industry forces look like, what's driving change, right? Where do we sit competitively on, like this competitive clustering map? All of these types of things that we've talked about up until this point. What are the critical success factors and how easy are those types of things in order to acquire for ourselves or, utilize? Well, what does all of this essentially ultimately tell us? Well, we got to figure out, based off of all this information, what factors determine profitability in our industry, and these will give us an idea about what that outlook looks like, right? Whether any of these factors we've talked about have a favorable or a not so favorable impact. Do we have a lot of potential for future growth based off of those driving forces? Is there a lot of uncertainty in the future? Are there strengthening competitive forces in our industry? How those elements of those 5 forces from the Porter's assessment that we did, how are they changing? What is that doing to the reality within our industry for us, right? All of these things that we have looked at, these things all will give us an idea about whether or not our industry looks profitable for us or not. Okay. It's not a checklist. It's not a thing where I just say, like I need everything to look, to look positive in order for me to feel good about it. Every industry has its ups and downs. Every industry has its positives, negatives, things that look good about it and others that don't look so great. But what we want to know is, just like always, is this a sustainable industry for us to be a part of? Is it something that profitability is going to be likely within? And if not, what do we need to do in order to change that reality or pivot into something that's hopefully going to help mitigate the potential negative financial damage that could do on us as an organization? So from everything we've talked about, what kind of conclusion can we draw from it? What we can deduce from all of this is essentially 3 things and 3 suggestions for you from a strategic standpoint as an organization. If you find yourself to be one of the stronger competitors and you're in an attractive industry, hey, I mean, things look pretty good. You're a great competitor. You got a great industry. Odds are growth is looking good, favorable change, but we always need to be looking toward the future. So if we do find ourselves to be one of these strong competitors in an attractive industry, we got to consider investing aggressively in opportunities that could improve our competition or like this competitive position from a long-term standpoint. Continue to try to invest in new areas, look for areas to branch out, to pivot into and expand our reach into new areas, try and bring in new markets. When we're in a favorable place, we have to be looking to the future and making aggressive, offensive moves like that. If we find that we're a strong competitor in a not so attractive industry, we are still one of the stronger competitors. We're likely superior along the lines of some of those KSFs, but maybe we have an industry where a lot of those forces just are like, ew, they're kind of rough for us, right? I think about things like the grocery industry. Not an attractive industry, super small margins, really like a difficult one to operate within. but you do have strong competitors in there. You have nationwide brands that compete very strongly. And if you're one of those, like in a situation like this, where you're just a big fish in an unattractive industry, let's say, you might want to do more of what we're going to talk about later to be a defensive positioning. So consider protecting your position, invest cautiously, you know, make sure that you work on taking market shares from weaker competitors by either like acquiring or merging, and looking for opportunities, to maybe enter other industries, because the outlook may not look great for your industry. So you may need to start looking for ways to branch out as well. So no matter what it is, whether you're attractive or unattractive industry, when you're one of those strong competitors, you got to continue to have, one ear to the ground, really looking at where the next opportunity is going to be. But the difference is whether or not you do it aggressively or you do it more moderately in that sense. And if we come to the conclusion by the end of all these analysis that we're a weak competitor, we're not that great at it, and we're in an unattractive industry, might be time to just start looking for some sucker to buy your business, unfortunately, right? You got to look for somebody to acquire this business, say, I don't know, take what you can from it, but there's not much of a future in it for me, and I don't do well in it in the moment right now either. So present doesn't look great, future doesn't look great. Does that really look like a type of situation that we want to, continue moving forward? So these are some of the conclusions really to make by the end of it, because ultimately we like to come to some, definitive understanding about what all this means and what types of actions to take. It will all depend, just like anything else in strategy. It can be messy. There can be a lot of subjectivity to our decision making, but just understanding that likely these would be some of our most trusted suggestions that we might give to individuals who come to these different conclusions based off this, like all of these framework that we've discussed today about how to deduce just what our position looks like within our external environment.